We begin with my exclusive interview here today with Vice President Kamala Harris on whether the U.S., now with a divided Congress, will support Ukraine for as long as it takes. We also talked about the 2024 campaign, but started with Beijing's reaction today to President Biden's speech about the shoot-down of China's spy balloon and whether the White House and President Xi can reset their relationship. The president said that the three other objects were not a threat to the U.S., so why shoot them down?
Well, we, as the president said, have approached this with the first priority being the safety of the American people, including civil aviation. And so for those three, as the president said, that was a big concern. The president's speech last night also made clear that after the Chinese balloon incident, as it has become to known, we wanted to sharpen the rules that apply to these types of incidents. We also want to improve our detection ability. And then equally important, we're here in Munich, what we need to do to ensure that there are global standards for this. And so that's the work we're going to do going forward.
But why shoot first when we didn't have a policy in place?
Well, let's be clear, first of all, as it relates to the Chinese balloon, we shot it down because it needed to be shot down because we were confident that it was used by China to spy on the American people.
Why not shoot the Chinese balloon down before it crossed into the U.S. and then all across the country?
We wanted to do it in a way that would ensure that there was no harm to the American people, but in a way that we could also preserve what we could then investigate from a forensic perspective, and that's what we're doing. I commend the military and those who have been doing the work of retrieving and doing the forensic analysis, in particular of the payload, but the balloon itself as well.
The president, of course, has reached out to China, saying he expects to talk to President Xi. They have said today that it was accidental, that we're overreacting, that there can't be this kind of dialogue given our reaction, or there shouldn't be this kind of dialogue.
We will maintain the perspective that we have in terms of what should be the relationship between China and the United States. That is not going to change, but surely and certainly that balloon was not helpful, which is why we shot it down. But our relationship and our policy toward China remains what it has been. And I actually spoke directly with President Xi about this in Bangkok after the president spoke directly with President Xi about that in Bali several weeks ago, which is that we invite competition with China, but we do not look for conflict and confrontation, which is why our policy has been clear that we will invest in the American people, we will invest in our own infrastructure, we will align with our allies around the world, and that's going to be part of the discussions I have with world leaders while I'm here in Munich, and we will compete, and that has not changed.
They aren't even accepting phone calls, military to military. Even during the Cold War, we had a hotline. Isn't there a real risk of miscalculation, of an accident?
Well, first of all, we do maintain diplomatic communication.
But not military to military, which is really what matters.
Military to military is something that we will strengthen, and we realize how important that is. We certainly realize that, and I would assume and hope that the Chinese do as well.
But at this point, is there a risk of miscalculation, of an accident?
There is always a way to improve relationships when we have direct lines of communication. That is why the president, our president, Joe Biden, spoke directly with President Xi on many occasions, and most recently in Bali. It is why I spoke directly with President Xi when I was in Bangkok just several weeks ago. It is a priority of ours to ensure that we keep open lines of communication and that we make America's position clear. And again, we made America's position clear about that balloon when we shot it down.